Day 5 greets the riders with a cool, misty morning. But don't let that fool you. The rest of today's forecast calls for hills, hills, and more hills. Yet they're still smiling and waving. In fact, it's been noted that this year's route has the highest climbing elevation in all of RAGBRAI's 50-year history. Just our luck. Because of all the hills we had to climb, well, that's all we have to show for Day 5. Better luck next time, I hope.
Cool bar.
Two more days left. Day 6 is projected to be the hottest day ever recorded during RAGBRAI's history. A perfect time to take a break and chat with Alex and what he knows about Guam.
Guam? I believe it's in the Pacific. It's far away, and it's U.S. territory. Alex, A-L-E-X. Last name Gockman, G-O-C-K-M-A-N. Originally from Blue Island, Illinois, and I currently live in Munster, Indiana. So I grew up in the suburbs, which is quite a bit different from, rural place or like farmland, but it's not too far away. So I feel like we have, I can be downtown Chicago in 30 minutes, but if I drive 30 minutes south, it's all farms. Just right in the middle. I guess that's kind of what suburban life is all about. I mean, I think it comes down to got some family structures, community structures. And so some places have that. I think it really just depends on the place. Like you could have, big city like Chicago where overall, it's kind of hard to find a collective identity in a way, besides maybe sports or something like that. But it's small units that are what really make up that nice community. I think that is usually comes down to families.
Makes sense. Thank you, Alex. Stay safe and stay hydrated. Let's listen in on how Alex's thoughts are interpreted by our AI poets. Prompt, enter.
Munster, my current haven, a quiet spot. City lights in the near distance. Chicago's allure within 30 minutes' grasp. Friendliness unbridled, a gracious land. Guam, a distant gem in the Pacific's embrace. A U.S. territory, a world apart. Family bonds, community threads. In Chicago's bustling streets or Iowa's open fields, to the people of Guam, lives woven together in unity.
Different, but same. I get it. when you're talking about cultural experiences, you can't forget the most memorable of them all, the international language of food.
Hey, my name's Geoffrey Steeves. I'm at Whiteman Air Force Base. I'm a colonel in the United States Air Force. I spent some time in the Midwest. Over the course of my career, and also as a deployment to Guam and Anderson Air Force Base. And I'd say both the Chamorro food in Guam and the food here in Iowa are both amazing.
AI, since you don't eat, how would you describe that to us in a poem?
Amidst the towering whispers of steel, a deployment to Anderson, Guam's distant shores. But beyond the wings, the duty, the skies, a culinary voyage, flavors entwine, Chamorro food in Guam, a taste of distant seas, Iowa's offerings a symphony of earth and sky. A common thread, from the waves of Guam to Iowa's fields, cultures converge, a shared wonder, a feast for the soul. Jeff's tale, a blend of duty, places, and flavors, he soars from Midwest's heart to Guam's distant embrace. A life enriched, a journey traced by stars.
It's long-winded, but I'll take it. As the day continues, the riders slowly pedal through the unbearably humid Iowa heat. Even this good old U.S. airman has to take a hydration break with bottles in both hands. The heat index is said to be 120 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know about you, but I get the feeling that Guam and Iowa have more in common than we thought. This here is the hottest and the hilliest RAGBRAI on record. Maybe it'll help us to get the heat off our minds if we think of other similarities. At least, that's what we were hoping while we were standing under the shade and talking with David. Oof, it's hot. What were we talking about again?
We were talking about similarities between people in Guam, what you're in Iowa, and the mainland and so forth. The family is really, really strong. You find that there is a lot of concern about the local neighborhood, the community, take care of one another. Just those types of things are really, really important, both people here at the mainland and also in Guam. Name is David Martinez. It's David Martinez. Some of the things I've talked to others that when I was in the Air Force, we had discussed how the territories of Guam and of Puerto Rico had so many things in common with the United States, in the mainland United States. It was they're brothers in arms, and it's a really, really close relationship that I think should be better known amongst a lot of different people here on the mainland.
Thank you, David. I couldn't agree more. Stay cool. AI, that's your cue.
David's poem. In lands both near and distant far, where ocean waves and prairies are, David speaks of ties that bind, a tale of hearts and souls aligned. Through Air Force days in Chamorro lands, a kinship formed, hand in hand. Families embrace a strength so true, in caring hearts a bond imbued. Guam and Puerto Rico's might, linked with mainland's common light. Brothers in arms, they stand as one, a story of unity under the sun. These hidden threads that tie us tight deserve to bask in broader light. Let's spread the tale of love and care, of similarities rich and rare. So let us heed David's voice, Celebrate connections, make the choice to recognize the bonds we share in this vast world, a tapestry rare. Whispers cross the sea, Guam, Iowa's unity, bonds of family.
It's day 7. We finally made it to the last day of RAGBRAI. These smiling faces share the bittersweet feeling of RAGBRAI coming to an end. Like most of the riders, the kindness from all the people we've met along the way will carry us through the last 71 miles across the beautiful state of Iowa. Ah, yes, back to reality. Well, here we are. As some riders pack up their bikes to be transported home, other riders get to relax and pamper themselves in the paid services of the cycle charters that provide buses, meals, and bike packaging. For the thousands of riders coming to the end of RAGBRAI, they'll be reminiscing in the days ahead about their lifetime experience here in Iowa. 7 days of cycling and over 500 miles covering one end of the state to the other. For some, it's a one-time bucket list item ready to be crossed off. For others, they'll be back next year. In the meantime, let's check in on the other side of this cultural exchange. After all, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And so, off we go. Here we are, the beautiful island of Guam, as these early morning cyclists prepare for their weekend ride.
So I really need to bring my 360 cam.
No, I put on road tires on my gravel. But you got the good gearing? No.
I wonder if anyone in the group would have anything to say about their experiences with Iowa. Let's ask Ryan. Ryan, what do you think?
I think for me, Iowa, when I was going to college, the wrestling. I think Iowa has one of the best wrestling teams, and then also too, when I became a teacher, I had students that were into jiu-jitsu, so I told them, hey, join wrestling, and they loved it. So we would watch things on YouTube, and man, the kids in Iowa are the real deal, but even just their build, you can tell. Strong bunch of people, yeah, Iowa, that's what I know about Iowa. Ryan Bamba, RYANBAMBA. Riding around Guam, it's the sunrises, the sunsets, the midday. You really see everything. I catch it on my phone as much as I can and embrace it too, because it's very beautiful here in the morning.
I started riding mountain bikes actually in Utah, and I was riding mountain bikes off season in Utah from in between the snows. I was a snowboarder, and then moved from Utah to Oklahoma. My name is Glenn Ladehoff. It's GLENNLADEHOFF. I was on a small shop team for about 5 years. And we did a bunch of local crits. There's the Tulsa Tough, which I've got to see the first Tulsa Tough, and now it's expanded into a huge racing scene. I don't know, I think I did like 4 or 5 Tulsa Toughs. But the scene here in Guam is actually really big. There's lots of cyclists here. When I was moving here to Guam, the first thing that I did was I started looking on social media to see who rode bikes. And I met Eric through Guam Cycling Federation, and he was like, sure, come ride with us. And that's how it started. And I've been riding with Eric for 2 years now.
Eric Tydingco, ERICTYDINGCO, Tydingco. I am the president of the Guam Cycling Federation, and our signature event every year is the Tour of Guam, held in December. It's certainly a destination event. The locals love it. We average around, I would say, close to over 200 people actually. And this year, man, we're getting a lot of tourists coming over for it to participate in. And I think for them, it's the appeal of riding in an island, doing a bike race in an island, and then also kind of mixing with the locals.
So the similarities between like rural America and Guam is, of course, being on the bike. The bike is the bike brings everybody together. When I was in Oklahoma, I rode with lawyers, I rode with doctors, I rode with I worked at a shop, so it's like every class you can think of, the bike brings us all together, and that's everywhere. Where if it's mainland, if it's Guam, if it's in Europe, I've ridden in Scotland. It's the same. It's always, the bike is the lowest common denominator, but it's also that person that you ride with, and it doesn't matter what that person does and what you do. It's what you're doing during that time that you're bonded together with that person, and it's through the bike and that shared experience.
that says it all. Safe travels, and don't forget your passport.
You would think that there's not that much to ride here, but the terrain is so very, very beautiful here, so don't come here.